Hi, I'm Allison, a former corporate executive turned coach and keynote speaker for women making big moves. And really, I am on a mission. I'm on a mission to help you and me create more time, more energy, more space, more freedom, more fulfillment, because our lives are way too packed. Welcome to the Late Learner Podcast, where here we are ditching the outdated norms, like the ones we've all been taught to live in. But here we find more modern solutions that just plain work better for you. So what are we late learning today? Well, today is a lot more personal, actually. And I've been training for months and months and months to run my first half marathon. This is a big goal that did not come easy. And in fact, I hate running so much. I never thought this was ever going to be something I would achieve or even try. And I want to be clear, this message today, I am not going to come off as some righteous asshole, and I promise I'm not going to try and convince you should run a marathon unless you want to, and I'm in full support of it. But what I found through this process, as I learned some surprisingly simple lessons that I learned the hard way that I was not expecting. And I really wanted to share them with you because, God, if I knew some of these things, it would alleviate so much stress or pain or suffering and make things so much easier for me. And so if I can pass those lessons along to you, that's why we're here, right? So you will want to stay for that. I've kind of summed them up into 3 lessons. The third one is a banger. You do not want to leave for that. And by the way, the story of this half marathon had a lot of twists and turns. I ended up not even running the race that I'd committed to run, and I'll talk more about that later. But before we jump in, do you get my weekly newsletter? It's called the Reinvention Roadmap because we're always in a state of reinvention, right? And especially when you get past a certain age, usually late 30s, over 40, when you start to realize, wait a minute, I don't know that I have to do it the way that I've been taught to do it. What is a way that feels more aligned? So I have dedicated an entire newsletter, and every week I'm sending you relatable insights, brave strategies, and action steps for you to design your next chapter. And I always end up with something fun and snarky and some kind of twist in it. So if you're not on that list, go to allisonhair.com/email and get the Reinvention Roadmap for yourself. This is like a super free way to go one-on-one with me. But if you're looking for a more personalized way to reinvent your future on your own terms, I have 2 spots left to work with me one-on-one for a 3-month outcome-driven engagement. So it's short, but it is effective. So if you've been considering making a big life change or start that podcast or make a career shift, but you're not sure how to find the space or clarity to do it, you might be really packed, or you may just be thinking, you know what? I feel like there's more. I just don't know where there is. Let's get on a free phone call and brainstorm. You can go to allisonhair.com/schedule. So let's get back to this race. So let's go back. You may have thought, like, Allison, if you hate running, why are you bothering running? Well, many years ago, I stumbled on Jesse Itzler's Instagram account. So if you have not followed Jesse Itzler, Itzler, on Instagram, make sure you do that now. And if you don't follow me, make sure you do that, Allison__hair. So anyway, I started following Jesse Itzler. And this was many years ago. And he is a multifaceted entrepreneur. He is Sarah Blakely's husband. He is an ultra athlete, endurance athlete, and endlessly fascinating, endlessly interesting. So I started to follow and engage in his content, and I just felt myself start to enroll in things I never, ever would have thought to do, whether they were little races or meetups or things that are just kind of getting me out of the regular rut. So over the course of many years, I have interviewed him on my podcast. It's one of my top downloaded podcasts. And his philosophy on life is very much a come with me, let's do this together. He's kind of built this community, really passionate, exciting community of people that are love to challenge themselves. They genuinely care about making a difference in the world, about having a good, solid, healthy, happy, fulfilled life. And so it kind of is in these buckets, right? So I started to do some kind of crazy things on my own. I started doing 12-hour walks and what are they called? Like endurance challenges. I would scale the tallest peaks in states. I would do the Manitou Incline, which is the steepest peak in Colorado, and just started signing up for all these things and realizing, wow, I really love this. I love the way it makes me feel to do things that are difficult, but also in nature, because I find that I call it the rule of threes, right? Like it takes 30 seconds of going out in nature to to feel your body and your nervous system kind of calm down and regulate. Sometimes for me, it takes me 3 hours in nature to really start to unwind. It's kind of like the 3-day rule. Like when you go on vacation and you don't realize you're on vacation until the 3rd day, and usually you have to turn around and go home by that time. But it is like the rule of threes. So I started to realize, after 3 hours, I really love the way that I feel. I love the way it cleared my head. And so I saw that Jesse Itzler was an organizer of this new festival called the Running Man. Now, I would never generally sign up for something called the Running Man. I hate running. I've always hated running. And I dance. I'm really active. I don't understand why, I can't run 10 feet without feeling like I'm going to die and being out of breath. And so I signed up for this event because I knew that if I put myself in a place that was going to challenge me and be in the company and the community of the people that these events attract, where there are people that are really entrepreneurial, they are very different thinkers. I think they're kind of built different. They're incredibly successful achievers, and they're always optimizing, how do I do life better, more optimized, happier, more joyful, more fulfilled, all of those. So I made a commitment. I wanted to surround myself with people like that, which is lesson number 1. Surround yourself with people who make you feel great, who make you feel capable, and positively champion your growth. The other side to this is you also want to make sure that these people, because there are people that can be, let's say, somewhat manipulative, that make you feel that way. They make you feel great, capable, they positively champion your growth. But when you're not there, you may not always feel that way. And so that may look like you not being sure where you stand. So part of it is like understanding, how do you regulate your nervous system? Do you feel like your nervous system is calm and at peace when you're with these people? So surrounding yourself with people who make you feel great, capable, and positively champion your growth. So I went to Running Man last year. I went alone on purpose, which is kind of a big deal when you're a female. And there were whole groups of women who came alone on purpose for the same exact reason that I did, that they wanted to meet people and they felt safe. This festival was really interesting because I thought there was free alcohol and there was nobody online on the alcohol stand. Nobody. I mean, it was there, it was available, but it wasn't like debauchery. People were genuinely taking really mindful and intentional care of their bodies. And there were tons of opportunities and vendors and places to do it where the food was healthy and thoughtful and all of that. So I go to this and I thought, I've run 5Ks before. I've run 10Ks maybe once before. Let me just run a 10K because I know that I'll stretch what I've done. And so I did that. It was, I walked a lot of it. I walked a lot. of that 10K. It wasn't what I loved. And again, I just wanted to be around those people. But then during this session, the way they have Running Man set up is they have a 1 mile track. And in that 1 mile track, you can go do a 5K, a 10K, a 25K, a 50K, a 100K, it doesn't matter. You have 8 hours to complete it. What was interesting about this is that it was not necessarily for time unless you wanted it to. It really was kind of a personal goal for yourself. And I saw so many people that would go to this event and they say, you know, I was going to run a 5K or walk a 5K. It doesn't matter if you run, walk, it doesn't matter. I wanted to do a 5K, but I just ended up doing a half marathon, or I was going to do a 10K. And I said, you know what? I'm here. Let me just do the marathon. What? Who does that? And so as soon as the doors opened for this year, last year was the inaugural one, I signed up immediately. And I was like, I know I can do more than a 10K. Let me stretch and do a half marathon. So they give you a training plan, all of those things. So the beginning of the baseline was I'm not really a runner. I'm not used to it. I don't know if my lungs could handle it or whatever. I feel like I can't breathe. And I also feel like, I don't know if you felt this, but like if I'm running and I hear myself breathing or panting, I'm like, oh man, that sounds a lot. I should slow down. So, like that panting or whatever, I feel like I have to convince myself that I'm too loud. I need to stop and catch my breath. And so the lesson number 2, the other thing that I noticed last year, and you may have heard me say it and maybe even caught it yourself, is that I would tell people for the Running Man last year, I hate running. I'm not a runner. I don't like to run. I don't like to run. And I realized that me telling myself that I hate running does nothing for me. Absolutely no benefit. So I turned it into, I'm changing my relationship to running. That doesn't mean that I'm committed to running forever, but I am committed to doing this race. So I think it is, what is his name? There's a coach. The name is escaping me right now, but you guys are probably already saying it in your mind. But there is a specific running coach that has this methodology of to run 7 minutes, walk 3, run 7 minutes, walk 3. And I always kind of have this mindset, or it's something that I teach the kids. Once you commit, you don't quit. So I just kind of got it in my head of like, I'm not running for time. I'm running for completion. So when I got the Running Man plan, it was insane for like running that half marathon. So it was like a 10-week training plan. And so week 10 was like 3 miles easy. And I'm like, what is easy about 3 miles? And I think it meant like you're not sprinting, right? But I'm thinking, how is this easy? And so I think the first day I would run a mile, maybe 2 miles. And I felt like I think I could run like maybe half a mile, and then I would walk a little bit, and I would do the 7 minutes, 3 minutes thing where I felt like, okay, 7 minutes, the first 7 minutes is fine. Then I'll walk for 3 minutes. Then I'll start running. And then a minute in, I'm like, I need to walk. And I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this where I can run continuously if I even need to? So it was kind of wild about, kind of where my mindset was of just, okay, let me just trust the process. So my question to you, if that saying is true, I'm changing my relationship to, what are some things that could support you, that would open new possibilities for you and make life more fun and enjoyable and feel like you have more access to opportunities that you may not be considering today? So maybe that looks like I'm changing my relationship to my mother-in-law, my boss, my ex. I think the big one is I'm changing my relationship to myself. I'm changing my relationship to money, fitness, my body, morning routines. This is not, by the way, toxic positivity. It is an active, intentional process, and also will weed out what is not worth your time and energy to fight for, right? And what is. So you may explore some of these things and say, nope, this is not for me, and feel confident in your position to just move on. But even just the concept of I'm changing my relationship to makes a really, really big difference. Okay, so then I thought about like, what are the cons? What are the things that I'm not looking forward to with this half marathon? For one, I had to adjust my schedule to fit it, early wake up, even earlier. So I normally wake up around 5:30, but then I'll like start getting ready and all of that. But I would have to wake up earlier to run. And so I ended up, I think the training plan, I deviated a little bit from the training plan. I think it was like running maybe 3 or 4 times during the week and then one long run on the weekend. And then there were a couple of days off. I ended up doing 3 days of running. So I would do 2 days during the week, one long run on the weekend. The reason why I did that is because I lift weights. And so for me, I used to have a torn ACL. So I had the ACL repaired. And so my knee and my surgeon said the best thing you can do to prevent injury is lift heavy weights, not like going to bar class, but like lifting actual weights. So I do that twice a week. And then I would dance multiple times a week too. So I am essentially cross training and then running in between then. So I really had to wake up earlier, prioritize it. I just shift around the schedule. It kind of banged up a little bit with my husband and my kids. So I had to like figure out a way to make it work. But again, it is only for 10 weeks, right? So I can do that. And for less than that, because most of the training was during the summer when they were at home. The other con is that I'm so freaking slow. I am such a slow runner. So runs would take so much longer. And it's almost embarrassing when you'd see like 15, 16, 17-minute miles because I would run 7 minutes, walk 3. And so it would really, really slow down. And again, like kids being back in school, it would kind of mess up things. And I went on vacation. We went to the beach. And I would train on vacation, and it was hot and so humid. I would have rather been walking on the beach like I normally do than training. But, I committed to it. So I wasn't going to bitch, right? I always wonder, this is just kind of a side beef. I always wondered when you go to a trainer, I remember I would sometimes train in small groups where we'd be working with a trainer and there'd be other people training with me. And those people would complain about every single exercise the trainer told them to do. And I always thought that doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you even here if you're going to bitch about it the whole time? So I always kind of took that and kind of shifted my brain that I'm never going to complain about it. I'm just, if I'm here and I showed up, I'm just going to do it. And so, the other con is that I was going to hate every single bit of the training. And so, and I was concerned that if I did it, it wouldn't get easier, but I just trusted that it would just have to get easier. It just would. So if my mindset was right, it would have to be. And then of course, like peeing, if you're running and having this bilateral movement constantly, I was afraid I'd have to pee all the time. So how did I make this more tolerable? Well, first of all, and I said this before, I was never going for time, only completion. That was really, really helpful so that I wasn't too hard on myself and could feel myself getting faster and more nimble and more continuous as the training went on. So I was happy to see that was happening. I was hoping that would happen with just continuous showing up. So that was fine. The other thing to make it more tolerable, and this is a little bit embarrassing, I filmed it all. And so I would stop and take pictures or video. I wouldn't stop for like 30 minutes, but I would like stop and snap a picture. And so I live in this really amazing place in Atlanta. And there are a lot of beltways and a lot of active it's called the Atlanta Beltline. And so there is this place that is right by my house that has tons of running space. There are lots of runners. It's well lit, even though I was running predominantly in the pitch dark in the morning. And there were a lot of sculptures. Watching the sunrise every day was really beautiful, and kind of kept my mind occupied. And so, the crazy thing about filming it is, I wish I was demure and like full or even cutesy, but I'm not. I feel like I have to put everything on the internet all the time and overshare. I just feel like if, I kind of used you guys, the people that were following me on Instagram, almost as my accountability partner, because if I put it out there, I'm going to do it. But if I just kind of kept it to myself, then I don't know that I would be as likely to continuously go out. Not that I really feel like people are super dialed into what I'm doing every day and what I'm eating or any of those things, but I think people are curious about those kind of things. So I really use that. I always feel like if it isn't on the internet, did it really happen? So that social proof really, really helped. And I also found the beauty in everything. And so, like, almost being distracted by all of the things around me was really, really, really helpful in kind of going different directions or seeing new things in maybe a different way. Most of the pathways that I trained on were flat, which was super helpful. I almost feel like I cheated. Even though that the Running Man path is relatively flat, it's actually on grass. So it's a grass pathway. So it isn't completely even, but it's not like you're running up big hills or anything. So I kind of cheated there and trained flat and ended up running flat. And the other piece of this was music. So one of the things about me is that I am such a music head. Like, I didn't do sports when I was younger. I sat in front of my TV and watched MTV. Like, something about music has always been amazing to me. And sometimes I'll find myself in such a loop of so many podcasts that I'm not listening to music as much. So being able to like unpack and unwind with a really good soundtrack made a massive difference. It made it like infinitely enjoyable. And believe it or not, even as I'm talking about it, it almost feels overwhelming with how much joy I was able to find surprisingly in this, whether it is through watching the sunrise and watching the sculptures and things change as the sky changes, and hearing the music and being able to actually hear the music and the lyrics and kind of unpack the lyrics in my mind was really, really nice. So I would listen to Odessa for like super high energy stuff, Odessa. Lord Huron is like the jam. Amos Lee has a new album. My girl Sierra Burton put together a playlist that she sent out, and I was using that, where it's more kind of spiritual and kind of going more intentional music, which was really fun as well, almost like meditative music. And then Slow Runner. There is a band called Slow Runner, which somehow I've always loved to run to Slow Runner. So I stayed really distracted, and that was super helpful. And it was during the hottest part of the summer. And so being in the early mornings before anyone woke up made it like super pleasant, and there's less traffic on the Atlanta Beltline. If you go in during the day, it is pretty busy. It is a really popular spot for not only locals, but also for tourists. And there's so much around here. So it was really great. But I did learn a few surprises along the way. And one of the things that I was hoping for, and so I hope you can see, like, my mind was so distracted with the beauty and all the other things that I wasn't really noticing as much my breath, or like being focused on, I don't want to do this, I'd rather be home, whatever it is. I kind of carved out the time, it was protected. And my hope was that I would have answers, like world solutions kind of come in the form of downloads. You know what downloads are? It's like divine channeling, divine guidance, like answers would come. And that didn't happen. And that was kind of a bummer, but it did clear my head. And that was massive. So I could wake up in the shittiest mood, truly. And there were some days where I'm like, what the fuck? And I would go out and I'd be like, what the fuck was my problem? And that was a really great tool to access, meaning I did not know that was available to me before. So, and again, since I already mentally committed to this, bitching about it wasn't going to help things. So I focused less on my body and more on my surroundings. And the other thing too about running, I'm sure you may have heard of like binaural beats, right? Like the left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. There's something that helps clear a brain with bilateral movement. So like walking or running. And so that helps kind of neutralize some of those things. So it is great for running and great for mental stability. And so I found myself having more downloads outside of the run. I was hoping it would come during it, but I think it cleared the deck to have a clearer day, which was really helpful. And then the other lesson, so lesson number 3 was hire your inner coach. Now, let's talk about the inner coach. I've actually never heard anybody talk about this. And I wanted to make sure that you are leaning all the way in for this and possibly taking notes if you're not driving. My inner coach is a fucked up asshole assassin when it comes to my performance at work. Especially as it relates to sales. And when I was in the corporate world, it was annihilation. It felt like I would get angry at myself. When I was in the corporate world, I couldn't understand why I didn't work harder, or I would work really hard to understand, but I would get so mad that it didn't come easier for me. I didn't find the angle fast as somebody else might. And I just chalked it up to masking and being secretly dumb. And that does not help. So I want you to think about the important life buckets: faith, work, home, family, self, health, like fitness, movement, health. And what I noticed, this was so surprising to me, is that my inner coach for fitness in general is like the bomb, my inner coach. And I would realize that I was kinder to myself. I was gentler. I was more encouraging. And when I would do those walk runs, right? Like run for 7, walk for 3. And if I would walk sooner than those 7 minutes, I would just gently say, you got this. You can do it. You can go just a little light jog. You can do it. And it helped. I realized how kind I am and how good I feel when I work out. No wonder I work out so much, because I am so good to myself, where I'm not like that at all, especially when it comes to like time with my family, that sometimes I get really upset that I am not spending the time with my family that I should, because I'm spending it in other ways. I'm sure you can relate to that. But when I'm working out and when I'm doing fitness and movement, I feel so accomplished. And I genuinely feel like anything is possible. So what I would love for you to do is I would love for you to do a running log for a week on your own inner coach in those buckets. Again, like faith, work, home, family, self, health, right? Those kind of things. Is your inner coach like a fucking drill sergeant type? Or is it an uplifting and effective Ted Lasso type? In each bucket. In what buckets? So take a running log for a week and notice, write it down, take inventory. Feel free to let me know. You can message me. Now, here is the big detour, the big twist in the road, the pothole, if you will, all puns intended. This has been so crazy. So, I've been training, and the Running Man Festival is in mid-September. And as I'm training, I get a note from somebody that I am working with about an opportunity in Los Angeles. And this opportunity happens to fall on the days of Running Man Festival. And I remember sending a Teams chat and saying, "Oh my goodness, I would love to go. I'm so glad you thought of me, but I'm already locked in to run this marathon that I've been training for." And I looked at it and I'm like, I don't think I want to send that yet. And so I hit backspace, 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 backspace. And I thought about it. And here is why this is so wild. So I've been trying to do some more meditation. Generally speaking, it has me wanting to crawl out of my skin. But I'm finding it to be a little more easier, that I'll take 15 minutes and I'll just be quiet in the morning with my eyes closed, sitting out on my porch. And so on this day was no exception. And normally I don't know if you feel this way, but I always feel like when I pray, when I meditate, I always feel like I'm doing it wrong. Like I'm asking the wrong thing. I'm not asking for I'll be like, "God, send me a sign." And no signs come, or I'll say, "Show me a blue butterfly," and I don't see anything, And this particular morning, I said, "You know what? You know my heart. And I'm not going to ask for anything other than if there is a window or a door, can you present a window or a door and allow me the discernment to know what to go through?" And that was that morning. And I just was quiet. I wasn't trying to think of the right thing to pray for or ask for or be thankful for. I just was quiet. And that was the day that this opportunity came through. And immediately I'm like, wait a minute, this is a no-brainer. I need to go to Los Angeles. I need to go and take advantage of this opportunity because I have been praying and asking, help put me in the rooms where I need to be in. Help the right people be attracted to me. Help me be attracted to the right people where I can serve at the highest. And here it is. And I thought, all right. So I told him, "Hey, I have a marathon that I've been training for, but I'm in. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play." Isn't that crazy? So all of a sudden, all this training and I have nowhere to go. And immediately I was like, I'm just going to run it on my own. I'm just going to run it on my own. The real reason for me going to Running Man was to be surrounded by these kind of people. And in Los Angeles, those are those type of people, but it is more business focused. It is more focused on opportunity, even though I love the fitness, the health aspect of it. So no Running Man race. I couldn't get, I asked to see if I could get a refund and I couldn't. And I had saved for months for it. And really it was kind of understanding that this was the discernment that I needed, that I could still run the race, because when I was running and training, I wasn't thinking about, I was, but I wasn't thinking about the people that I would be surrounded by, although that was such a massive perk from Running Man. I was thinking about my head. I was thinking about how good it felt to be out there. It is you got to enjoy the journey, not the destination. It really was the journey that I found so many more benefits of and really enjoyed my own company. And so I'm ready. I'm just going to run it this coming weekend. And this was last week. And so I kept thinking, again, I told myself I wasn't going to say that I'm really careful to not be self-deprecating about it. Like, hope my legs don't give out. Hope I can do it. Hope I don't die. I'm really trying to be more mindful of the self-deprecating ways that I might be. And so I thought about it. I'm like, my lungs are ready. I feel like I have been able to continuously run longer distances than I ever had before, even though I knew I would be walking a lot and probably more than I would like to. I really had no reason to believe that my body wasn't ready. I know on one of the runs, I ended up tripping and falling flat on my face and have bloody knees, but thankfully it was just a flesh wound. It was not a structural injury. So I was really grateful for that. My mind was definitely locked in. So why not? So I went out for the run. I prepped as much as I could and was super excited about getting up super early. So I think I went out before 6 a.m. So it was like 5:40 or so and just started running. And I was just not going to come back till I hit 13.1 miles. And so on this one, there's a track. So like this belt line is from where I live to this particular park. It's 2 miles there, 2 miles back. So I was going to do the 2 miles there and back 3 times and then add a mile in between. And I thought, because I do love the distraction of the environment and didn't want to get bored of the same route back and forth, but it turned out to be okay. By mile 8, and this happens a lot. Like this happened when I did the 12-hour walk, that by hour 8, and for this case, it was mile 8. I started to wonder, why did I do this? I'm walking more than I would like to have. And I remember I stopped at home because, again, I was running back and forth from my home to whatever. And I would go pee, and I had orange slices that I'd cut up the night before and pickle spears, and just had, kind of an energy thing. I had an energy gel. I never heard of these things, but it really made a huge difference. So I popped in at home, and the way my husband looked at me, he's like, "Why are you home? Are you done?" I said, "Nope, I'm just grabbing, I'm just peeing and I'm going out for the last leg." And the look on his face, I've never seen him look at me like that. He looked so proud and like, wow, just bewildered and so happy for me. And it just felt good, My husband is not a person that is super complimentary. He doesn't like words of affirmation for himself, let alone giving it very freely. So I know that when I see that look, he really is proud. It felt really nice too. And then around mile 11, I, I swear, like, so mile 11, 13.1 is a half marathon, 13.1 miles. Around mile 11, I was doing a slow ass run shuffle. Do you know what a run shuffle is? It's like where somebody is like barely picking up their feet, that you just hear the shuffle. Like sometimes a lot of kids will do that, and your instinct is to be like, pick up your feet when you walk. So I felt like I was doing the run shuffle and wishing I could like take a scooter back. But I kept going. And mile 12, like walkers were passing me trying to run the last mile. And then mile 13.1 happened. I collapsed on the floor in my kitchen. I recorded a video and I was like choking back tears. And, my husband and my kids were so proud. And it just felt so good. It felt so good that I completed the mission, even though the end game changed, or the conditions around the end game were no longer, I had nothing to do it for other than for myself. And I think that was the big message, that while I kept it very public, it really was for myself. And the more opportunity that I have to, and I would encourage you to do this as well, but like the more opportunity I have to kind of stretch what's possible and to continue being in that framework of, it's the inner coach, right? Of like continuously telling myself, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. So let me recap. Lesson number 1, surround yourself with people who make you feel great, capable, and positively champion your growth. People that you feel regulated around, people that you feel like you can be yourself around. You can be really intentional about that. And if you want to know how, you can go to allisonhair.com/PAB, Personal Advisory Board. Lesson number 2, I'm changing my relationship to. What are some things that may have been closed doors for you that you may want to open? And I always think about a Tough Mudder, because for me, a Tough Mudder is so gross. Like, I don't like getting muddy. I certainly don't want getting mud in my private parts and having to figure out how to get that out. That does not appeal to me at all. But I have a feeling if somebody I loved and trusted was like, hey, I'm going to do this, do you want to do it with me? I'd probably say yes. But right now, the answer is no. But what are some things that you can change your relationship to? And just kind of have a different attitude of what would it look like. And then lesson number 3, hire your inner coach. Where is your inner coach? The Ted Lasso, the strongest, the most positive, the most encouraging. And see if that inner coach can creep into the other areas of your life. And if you need expedition in this and help in this to expedite that process, hire a coach. Hire a mentor or work with somebody that can help you with accountability. I know for me, I need coaches for all of this, because some of it and some of the self-talk is not natural for me. And so sometimes having somebody in my corner to help kind of keep me on track while I am trying to rewire and repattern some of my patterns that no longer serve me, it makes a big, big difference. So hire your inner coach. And I'd really love to know what that inner coach is for you. Which ones are like really helpful and which ones are like not cool, like the drill sergeants that are demotivating, right? And so now that the race has ended, now I'm trying to decide what's next. What is next? And what is next for you? So there is a little bit of a come down when you finish a goal like that, because it is kind of like it consumes a lot of training for it, thinking about it, mentally finishing. And then when you do, what's next? And it doesn't have to be something physical. It can be doing a public speaking engagement that maybe you were afraid to do, or joining Toastmasters, or showing up to that dance class that you always wanted to try but felt like you might be too embarrassed to go. What's next? Another thing I did want to let you know that on October 5th, 2024, Colin O'Brady is hosting a global 12-hour walk. So I've done the 12-hour walk twice. I don't have any stake in this at all, other than if you want to feel like you can clear your head, it is a great way to do it. So the interesting thing about the 12-hour walk, no technology, no doing it by yourself, no phone, no audiobooks, no music, just you and you, not even like a dog or a companion. And essentially you walk out your door and 12 hours later, you come back. You can rest as much as you want. It's just being out. I've done it twice. Again, I feel like around mile 8, I'm like, why am I doing this? This is a dumb idea. But it is such an incredible way to clear your head. So if you can take that day off, October 5th, go do it. Go do it. And by the way, you can have your phone. You just put it on airplane mode, and they have like an app. You can go to 12hourwalk.com, or you can download the app where it can at least give you a map, but it's not connected to the internet. Another thing to think about is something called a misogi, something I learned about from Jesse Itzler, which is a Japanese term, which essentially is do one thing a year, one huge, massive thing a year, something you would be so proud of, some goal to focus on. And every year you come up with a new misogi. So maybe for me, that was the half marathon. I honestly don't know how people do twice that amount. I mean, I don't know, but would I do it? I mean, probably at some, with some convincing, sure. And so now I'm thinking about post race, what's next? And for me, and again, this is super personal. I'm really leaning into temperance, surrender, trust, faith, and discernment, which all of those things are very challenging for me because being type A and kind of making stuff happen and setting a goal and going for it, it's much easier than to actually trust that the work that I'm doing, the things that I'm doing are leading to something big. And leading to what is right. And so there is a lot of kind of self-listening and slowdown in this, which is very much an unlearning for me as much as it is a learning, and very opposite of the hustle culture of which I've been conditioned. You've probably been conditioned that way. And I'm excited to see what's next. And so as we wrap up today, I want to thank you for your support and for listening. I want to thank you to every single person that's encouraged me and has given me tips and helpful advice, because this is something I've never done, was the half marathon. And I want to thank you for sharing this podcast. I hope you will share this podcast with somebody that is either training for a marathon or somebody that is trying to do something different. Maybe you feel stuck. I hope you send one person this podcast episode. And again, if you feel like you've gotten value out of it, please leave a review, a written review and a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and whatever. But again, I would love to hear from you. My door is always open. My DMs are always open. And if you are looking for your own coach, somebody to help you kind of close out the year, I have only a couple of spots left for the rest of the year. And I'd love to talk about what you're working on, see if we're a fit. But I am doing a free brainstorming call at allisonhair.com/schedule. And let's see if we can get you on your road to your what's next for you. But I am so grateful for you. Thanks for listening. And if I don't see you on the socials, I'll see you next time here.